We are this close to our Indianapolis Colts versus Denver Broncos matchup this coming Sunday, NFL Week 2 and Broncos Country. Welcome into this episode of the Broncos Breakdown. On it, I'm going to give a full preview of the Denver Broncos versus the Indianapolis Colts. Today's preview is a little bit different, though. It's a head-to-head assessment, position group by position group, which one is better for the Denver Broncos and for the Indianapolis Colts. It's not necessarily going to be a key to victory for the Denver Broncos. I'm going straight up which positional groups are better. Before we do that, though, of course, I have to tell you that each major position group is used to determine who has the upper hand. So based off of this list, it should give you a comprehensive view of who's going to get the W coming up on Sunday. Let's start with the list. We'll go head coach, and then we'll trickle our way down through the offense into the defense. Obviously, the Broncos have the advantage. Sean Payton over Shane Steichen. This is probably one of the easiest ones on the list. It is the obvious choice in tenure, in skill, in play calling, in success. Sean Payton beats Shane Steichen, who is in year 3 now of being a head coach, in almost every statistical category. It isn't close. Sean Payton beats out 99% of all the other coaches, by the way, outside of maybe Andy Reid. That's maybe it. So I'll take Sean Payton over pretty much anyone all day long. Give me the Broncos on the head coach. How about quarterback? I still think this one is Broncos. And I know that everyone's like, well, did you see what Daniel Jones did against the Miami Dolphins? Couple things. Number one, if you're going to sit here and try to tell me that Daniel Jones is a better player than Bo Nix, not only are you lying to me, but you're lying to yourself. Don't let one game fool you. Bo Nix is far better than Daniel Jones already. Daniel Jones is on his 3rd team. Granted, he got moved to the Vikings and then now is on his 2nd stint with his 2nd full-time team. But let's just take a look at the numbers from last season alone. Daniel Jones only played in 10 games because he got traded away. He got benched and then moved down all the way to QB3 and then traded or released, which one it was. I don't remember if it was either one of those. Either way, he's no longer playing for the Giants. Bo Nix beats him in all of this. Completion percentage, yards, touchdowns, interceptions, quarterback rating. It wasn't close. Bo Nix is a far better player, and 1 week of bad football does not make Daniel Jones a better quarterback. Let's move into the running backs. But before I do that, pick a quarterback. Bo Nix, type BN. Daniel Jones, type DJ. This should be pretty obvious. I'm typing my BNs, and I'm typing them all day long. Like I said, let's move on to the running backs. This time, I actually think the Colts have the advantage. And that's because of one name, Jonathan Taylor. Now, that doesn't mean that the combination of R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins isn't great. But Jonathan Taylor alone is an absolute dog. And they drafted this kid named DJ Giddens, who I think is going to be a very nice complementary back going forward this season. But Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 running back in the league. So I have to weigh everything. Do I like the 1-2 punch right now of J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey more than I like the 1-2 punch of Jonathan Taylor and DJ Giddens? Sure. But Jonathan Taylor's a dog. I mean, look at what he put up last year. He can do it both in the passing game and the running game. And he only played in 14 games last year. He had 1,400 rushing yards and 136 passing yards, or receiving yards, excuse me. So he's almost at 1,600 yards from scrimmage in 14 games played with 12 total touchdowns. Yeah, he can play. He's also going to be one of the players that you absolutely have to stop, because if you give him any sort of semblance of an open hole, he's going to absolutely destroy you. So your defensive line has to be as sharp as it can possibly be. Same with your linebackers. You cannot afford any missed tackles against this team. Wide receivers. I'm going to go with a push on this one. And the reason I say that is because I like a lot of what the Indianapolis Colts have added to their wide receiver room, specifically in their big 3. Their big 3 are Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and Adonai Mitchell. I also think Josh Downs has some positive output as a fourth string wide receiver, or not a fourth string, but a fourth option at wide receiver. But those big three, I think, are severely underrated based off of how bad the quarterback play has been in Indianapolis. But I would stack it up to the Broncos wide receivers. Like, Cortland Sutton might be slightly worse than Michael Pittman Jr. It's really close. Like, you could coin flip it on any certain day, and I think you would take Pittman or Sutton and Pittman. But then I would have Marvin Mims Jr., Troy Franklin, and Pat Bryant as my next three to stack up right against that Indianapolis Colts wide receiver room. So I'm going to go with a push because, like I said, I think the best way that you could describe this is it's just a full coin flip. On one game, you could see the Colts wide receivers play better, and on another game, you could see the Denver Broncos wide receivers play better. I think it's almost dead even. So give me the push on that one. Offensive line. This is more recency bias. I'm going with the Colts. Did you see what they were able to do for Daniel Jones against the Miami Dolphins? I know the Dolphins suck. I know the Dolphins have literally negative secondary. But Danny Dimes had the sixth highest quarterback passer rating in week 1 at 115.9. So we'll round it up to 116. He played outstanding. He looked like a playoff version of himself. He was fantastic. Do you think that was because Daniel Jones suddenly learned how to play quarterback? I don't think so. I think he had plenty of time to deliver inside the pocket, and that's all offensive line. And based off of what I saw from last week, I thought the Broncos' offensive line definitely got better in the second half, made the correct adjustments, but that first half left a lot to be desired. So I'm going to say inches, not feet, but give me the Colts' offensive line in this one to slightly outweigh the Denver Broncos. So I'll ask you this question as a whole from an offensive perspective. Who's got the better offense, Denver or Indy? I think overall, as a whole, I think Denver has a better offense. You might give the slight nod in specific areas, but if you were to ask me on any given Sunday, would you rather have Indianapolis Colts offense or the Denver Broncos offense? I would take Denver's 10 times out of 10. Now, coming up, I'm going to tell you the real difference makers in this game because clearly it's the defense. In fact, the Indianapolis Colts, in my opinion, don't really have any sort of actual advantage over the Broncos in any of the defensive line. Before I do that, though, I have to tell you about our friends over at Ethos. Listen, my friends, I took the plunge. I got married, and now families are being discussed, kids even, and that's why life insurance is something that I don't play around with anymore. So that's where our friends from Ethos comes in. You can get protected in as little as 10 minutes with rates at less than $23 a month. Ethos is revolutionizing the insurance industry with a 100% online process and can provide protection for you and your loved ones without ever leaving your house. That is right. They are completely 100% online with no medical exams. Just answer a few easy health questions online. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. I'll have all of that ready for you in the comments and description of today's video. Thank you to Ethos for sponsoring today's episode. How about the defense? Let's talk about defense because it wins championships, right? Let's go defensive line. It's the Broncos. Now, this was probably, I don't want to say it's the closest, but you definitely have to give at least some recognition to two players on the Colts defensive line, that being DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. Both of those players are no slouches. I would never say they're all pro caliber players, but they are NFL veterans that absolutely have talent. You cannot take them for granted. All in all, though, between Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, if he plays, and DJ Jones, stop it. I'll take the Broncos defensive line all day. So give me the Broncos there. Edge rushers, I don't even think we really need to talk about this one, do we, Dilly? Like Colts fans would say, just move on to the next one. The Broncos have the best edge rushers in the National Football League. Next, linebackers. Okay, so if Dre Greenlaw was playing, I'd give this to the Broncos. but I'm going to say a push. And I say this because there's one player on the Colts that just gives me fits all the time. His name is Zaire Franklin. And Zaire Franklin led the league in tackles. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It's one of those two. But he is a tackling machine. He has literally a nose for the football. And if we go back to his 2024 statistics, just take a look real quick. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing. 173 tackles is absolutely insane. 11 tackles for loss with 3.5 sacks. So if he needs to go on a quarterback design blitz, he can get to the quarterback. His PFF grade is not the greatest, but just like Zach Allen, he's out there for almost every single play. So there's going to be plays where he does get beat. At that point, when you're playing 85 to 90% of the snaps, you can't look at the PFF grade as something to go off of as a gauge. Like, he's easily their best player on defense in that middle of the field, and it's not close. So Zaire Franklin is something that, or somebody, that you have to look out for. But for the most part, with the depth that the Broncos have occurred over this season and have shown even last week with the likes of Justin Strnad, who played outstanding, Alex Singleton played well, I think this is a push. I'll just say that they kind of hit head-to-head. And then, of course, the secondary, which for this game specifically is the biggest mismatch of them all, and it's the Broncos. I don't know if you're a Colts fan watching this, and if you're not, you welcome into the Broncos breakdown. Or if you are, welcome into the Broncos breakdown. But the Colts secondary is absolutely decimated. I'll talk about that in just a second. But really, like what we saw last week between Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, Jahdae Barron scooped up a fumble. Jaquan McMillan had a sack at the very end of the game, made a huge play. Like, stop it. This is a no-fly zone 2.0. Riley Moss was incredible in man coverage, and Pat Surtain is the best lockdown corner in the league. It's not going to be close. And also, like I had mentioned previously, the Colts secondary is in shambles right now. Charvarius Ward is in concussion protocol. He's their best corner, and he's not going to play. Jalen Jones is one of their other players that they drafted, and he's a rotational cornerback. He's also out. They thought about putting him on IR. He's not going to go on IR, I don't think, but he's definitely not playing. So their secondary is completely decimated right now, and that's one of the keys to victory that I put in the video maybe 2 days ago. I was saying Bo Nix has an opportunity to absolutely shred this Indianapolis Colts secondary. If you think the Denver Broncos beat the Colts, before we end today's episode, type W in the comment section. And if you're watching during our live show, make sure you type W right now in the live chat. I want to see as many W's as possible. Only if you think the Denver Broncos are going to start off 2-0 and beat the Indianapolis Colts. That's going to do it for us on today's episode, Broncos Country. A reminder to have fun when I see you next for our watch party against the Colts. A mile-high salute to you. And as always, be cool.